The ocean is teeming with creatures you'd never want to come face to face with, like the infamous piranha, a fish that could easily haunt your dreams. As it turns out, there are plenty of terrifying fish lurking beneath the waves that most people would rather avoid entirely. From the fearsome great white shark to the deceptively dangerous striped surgeonfish, here are 20 fish that are sure to give you nightmares. Number 20. Moray eel. Moray eels belong to the ray-finned fish family and are a family of eels consisting of 200 species. They are found worldwide, mostly in marine environments but also in freshwater and brackish water. Moray eels have a dorsal fin that extends from the head and joins with the caudal and anal fins, and most don't have pelvic fins or pectoral fins. They are patterned with wide jaws and, just like the stuff of nightmares, have huge teeth that they use to tear flesh. Most people will recoil in horror when they see how moray eels eat. They have pharyngeal jaws further back in their heads that look like oral jaws with small teeth. When they eat, they push these jaws into their mouth cavity before clamping onto their prey and moving it into their throat. Scientists think they are the only animal to use pharyngeal jaws to capture prey like this. While eels are eaten in many cultures, moray eels are definitely not one you'll want to feast on. Giant moray and yellow-edged moray have high levels of ciguatera toxins, especially concentrated around their liver, which can cause ciguatera fish poisoning in humans. People with this poisoning suffer from severe neurological, cardiovascular, and gastrointestinal problems that can linger for days. It doesn't even take much to cause it. For example, in the Northern Mariana Islands, 57 people were poisoned after only eating half of a cooked moray and its head. Number 19. Crown of thorns starfish. The second largest starfish in the world is the crown of thorns starfish, which experts often refer to as cots. It is beautiful, unique, and the subject of many studies. These starfish also grow up to around 35 centimeters or 14 inches, with some even reaching over 31 inches. Cots live in coral reefs in warm waters of the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, and through to the Red Sea, East Africa, and Central America. They have up to 23 arms covered in spines, and each arm can be around 2 inches long. As immobile as they might seem, they're also relatively quick, moving up to 20 kilometers an hour. You might think that the sharpness of their spines is the only layer of defense they have, but you'd be mistaken. Their spines also contain neurotoxins, which are poisonous to marine creatures and us. If you happen to be pierced by one of the spines, which can puncture wetsuits, you're in for a miserable time. You may experience nausea, infection at the wound site, and even painful and swollen extremities. So, if you see a pretty-looking starfish hanging out in the water, don't be in a hurry to grab it. It might be one that can make you extremely uncomfortable for over a week. Number 18. Electric eel. Electric eels are neotropical freshwater fish that can stun their prey with electricity. Even though they have eel in their name, they actually aren't all that closely related to actual eels and instead are part of the knife fish order and are related to catfish. But eel or not, let's not forget that the most important thing about them is the fact that they are electric. They have 3 sets of abdominal organs that can produce electricity, known as the main organ, hunter's organ, and sax organ. These organs fill most of their body and allow them to make both high and low voltage. When an electric eel finds a tasty snack that it wants to eat, its brain will send a signal via the nervous system to the electrocytes that make up the organs. Sodium then flows through the now open ion channels, which temporarily reverses the polarity. As this results in a dramatic electrical potential difference, it can produce an electric current, not all that different from batteries. Surprisingly, electric eels can also control their prey's nervous systems and muscles, which means they can stop their future dinner from escaping. Electric eel shocks can obviously be fatal to their prey, but fortunately, they are rarely fatal to us. In most cases, people describe the shocks as being very unpleasant, almost like when you accidentally touch an electric fence. Number 17. Muskellunge. Muskellunge, which people call lunge and muskie, are North American freshwater predatory fish. They are considered the largest member of the pike family and can grow up to 48 inches long and weigh up to 36 pounds. Now, what's immediately quite apparent about this fish is how ugly it is. Its name even means big pike or ugly pike, which is saying something. They're green, brown, or light silver with spots and dark stripes and have sharp points on their tail fins and flat heads. But it's not so much their appearance that's the stuff of nightmares, it's their behavior. They're ambush predators and are apex predators where they naturally occur. They viciously bite into their prey after first ambushing them, then swallow them whole head first. They aren't fussy about the fish they eat and also eat ducks, frogs, rats, mice, muskrats, and insects. Rumor has it they can also attack small dogs and humans, and we'd like to think that these are just exaggerated rumors. But rumor became reality in 2020 when Manitoba angler Kim Driver was wading in the Winnipeg River north of Kenora in Ontario when a muskellunge attacked her. It then tried to drag her into the deep water, but fortunately, she was able to get free. They are definitely the fish of nightmares, at least for Kim. Number 16. Puffer fish. Puffer fish are kinda cute. There are dozens of different species, and most are small to medium in size and live in marine or brackish water, although freshwater species are also found in Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. As you can guess from their name, these fish puff up, but that's not why they give people nightmares. Most species are toxic and could actually kill you if you ate them. In some species, their skin, liver, and other internal organs contain tetrodotoxin, which is harmful to most animals. Yet we still do eat them in Japan and China. Specially trained chefs serve them as a delicacy, which is completely insane when you think that one wrong cut could take down your diners. The toxin inside this fish can deaden your lips and tongue, cause dizziness and vomiting, and lead to decreased blood pressure, rapid heart rate, and muscle paralysis. Eventually, the toxin paralyzes your diaphragm muscle, which stops you from being able to breathe. If you're fortunate enough to survive 24 hours after ingesting puffer fish, you will likely survive, but most that do end up in comas for several days. Many people aren't lucky enough to end up in comas. Dozens of people are affected and die from poisoning each year, with 35 deaths reported in China from 2004 to 2007. Now it's time for today's topic. Recently, an image posted on a popular Reddit subreddit has gone viral, sparking intense debate and fascination. The photo, allegedly captured by a drone camera, shows a massive sea creature lurking just beneath the surface of a calm, foggy ocean. The creature, which dwarfs a nearby yacht, appears to have the body of a shark but is far larger than any known species. Its shadowy form and immense size have left viewers stunned, with some estimating it to be over 60 feet long. The Reddit user who shared the image claimed it was taken off the coast of Norway during a routine drone flight. The post quickly gained traction, with thousands of comments speculating on what the creature could be. Some believe it's evidence of a prehistoric megalodon, thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. Others suggest it could be an undiscovered species, hidden in the depths of the ocean. However, skeptics have pointed out inconsistencies in the image, such as the lighting and proportions, leading many to believe it's a digitally altered hoax. While the original poster has since deleted their account, the mystery of the massive sea creature continues to captivate the internet. Is it real, or just another elaborate fake? Share your thoughts. Number 15. Stonefish. Stonefish are one of the most venomous fish that we know about, with around 4 or 5 species within the genus, including stonefish, estuarine stonefish, Red Sea stonefish, and stonefish. Most of them are marine, living in coral reefs, but some live in rivers. They get their name from their ability to camouflage to look like a stone, which is bad news for people and prey who may not notice them and accidentally get too close. If you stand on one, which is easy to do because of how they look, you're in for a really tough time, as the stonefish is one of the most venomous fish in the world. You can die if you don't receive treatment. They secrete potent neurotoxins from glands in their spines, and these stings are both painful and sometimes lethal. The venom can deteriorate cells and even lower your white blood cell count, leading to infection regardless of whether you've had appropriate treatment. The best treatment options for a stonefish sting are heat and antivenom. It's recommended that you apply hot water up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit or 45 degrees Celsius to the area to denature the venom. Vinegar from some Australian beaches may lessen the pain, and antivenom is helpful in extreme cases. Number 14. Piranha. Most movie buffs will be familiar with the 2010 horror thriller film Piranha 3D, which follows a group of strangers trying to avoid being eaten by ancient piranhas that were released after an earthquake split the lake floor. There's ferocious fish, there's blood, there's horror. Basically, this fish will give you nightmares, especially when you realize that their teeth look sharp enough to rip you limb from limb. But let's take a moment to focus on the real piranha, not an ancient one from a movie. Piranhas are freshwater fish from South America. They live in reservoirs, lakes, rivers, and floodplains, and are predatory fish that feed on other fish and plants. Their name comes from indigenous Tupi people, with pira meaning fish and sina meaning tooth. Here's a fun fact. Indian people sometimes use the same word to describe a pair of scissors. As you probably already knew from what you've seen in movies, they have one of the strongest bites of all bony fish. The black piranha, in particular, has the most forceful bite relative to body mass, which is all thanks to their large jaw muscles attached closely to the tips of their jaws. As vicious as they seem, though, rumors about them stripping a cow or a human body of flesh in seconds have been dispelled. Number 13. Red lionfish. As beautiful as red lionfish are, you wouldn't want to get up close and personal with these coral reef fish. They're found in various places like the Indo-Pacific region, Caribbean Sea, Brazil, and the east coast of the United States, and they are incredibly venomous. Their coloring makes them easy to spot, with white and red stripes coloring their entire bodies. They also grow up to 18.5 inches long, making them one of the largest lionfish species in the ocean. So, Given how noticeable they are, you'll find it easy to keep away, and keep away you should, for you're going to be incredibly uncomfortable if you're stung by this fish. Red lionfish have venomous dorsal spines, which, fortunately, they only use for defense when they're feeling threatened. Generally, their sting is not enough to be fatal, but you'll probably find yourself in a hospital at least once. Stung with up to 18 needle-like dorsal fins, you can feel pain, headaches, vomiting, and breathing difficulties, so you'll basically feel like you're dying. Some people are more sensitive to the venom than others, so a trip to the emergency department is necessary. You may also be able to lessen the effects or at least the pain by soaking the affected area in hot water. Most hospitals don't actually carry specific treatments for red lionfish stings. Number 12. Great white shark. The great white shark really lives up to its name of great. It has many titles under its belt, like being one of the longest-lived cartilaginous fish, the world's largest known extant macro-predatory fish, and one of the deadliest. The great white shark, also known as white pointer, great white, and white shark, is a mackerel shark living in coastal surface waters of most major oceans. They can grow up to about 20 feet long, weigh up to 5,000 pounds at full maturity, and live for up to 70 years or more. They're also lightning fast, moving through the water at up to 16 miles or 25 kilometers an hour at depths of up to 3,900 feet. Their speed, size, strength, and power really do make them a recipe for disaster. The great white has the largest number of recorded shark bites on humans out of all shark species. According to the International Shark Attack File at the Florida Museum of Natural History, there were 129 alleged shark-human interactions in 2020, with 39 provoked and 47 unprovoked attacks in the United States. There were also 2 great white shark attack fatalities. Penn Kelly was attacked 100 yards from the shore in May at Monstrous State Beach in California, and Julie Hollowatch was attacked 20 yards from the shore while swimming with her daughter at Bailey Island in Maine. Number 11. Tigerfish. Tigerfish look like any ordinary fish. They kind of have stripes like tigers and are a favorite game fish in rivers and lakes due to how large they can grow. The largest tigerfish on record weighed 154 pounds or 70 kilograms. That's like a person. But their size isn't what makes the tigerfish potential nightmare fuel. They are often described as Africa's equivalent to the piranha of South America. Just like piranhas, tigerfish have razor-sharp teeth that interlock, and they are incredibly aggressive and capable predators. Their teeth are so sharp that they can easily slice through flesh and even fishing nets, making them a challenge for anglers. They are also known for their speed, capable of swimming at up to 30 miles per hour, which allows them to ambush prey with terrifying efficiency. In some cases, they have been observed leaping out of the water to snatch prey from low-hanging branches or overhanging vegetation. They also hunt in groups and have muscular, streamlined bodies that make them capable of some incredible feats. For example, the African tigerfish is the first freshwater fish to be recorded catching and attacking birds in flight. So now it seems like they aren't just a threat in water but in the sky as well. What's the world coming to? Fortunately, most tigerfish species are not dangerous to humans. However, that's not to say they all aren't. The Goliath tigerfish is not a fish that you'll want to share water with. They have been known to prey on people, with attacks on people recorded in the Congo River. Number 10. Manta ray. Manta rays are large rays and cold-blooded fish with triangular pectoral fins, forward-facing mouths, and cephalic fins in the shape of horns. One of the largest species, known as M. birostris, can grow up to 23 feet wide, while the smallest, M. alfredi, is still massive at 18 feet wide. Manta rays are filter feeders, which is good news when you consider that their size makes them capable of eating humans. Instead, a lot of their diet consists of zooplankton. Given what we know about stingrays, like Steve Irwin's death from a stingray barb to the chest, you might think that manta rays are just as dangerous. While it's true that they have a long tail like stingrays, they don't really use them as weapons and are generally harmless towards humans. That's not to say we've always thought that though. They were once feared for their size and power, and ancient Peruvian Moche people's art often depicted them. Sailors also thought they were dangerous, believing they could sink boats by interfering with their anchors. However, in 1978, the general attitude toward manta rays changed. Divers exploring around the Gulf of California discovered that they could interact with them and realized that they were truly quite placid. Some divers, such as the author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, have even had their photos taken with them. Number 9. Alligator gar. Alligator gars are ray-finned euryhaline fish and are the biggest species in the gar family. They're also one of the largest freshwater fish in North America, growing up to 10 feet or 3 meters long. These fish are easily identifiable by their looks. They are generally torpedo-shaped with olive or brown coloring and bone-like scales with serrated edges. If the thought of sharp scales isn't bad enough, let's learn about their teeth. Alligator gars have an upper jaw of large, sharp teeth that form in a dual row, and they definitely put them to good use since they are ambush predators that like to stalk. Even though these fish are pretty passive and sluggish, they get hangry quite quickly. They can turn from sluggish and slow into a speedy ambush predator in seconds. They mostly eat fish but won't say no to small mammals, waterfowl, and turtles. To eat, they float just below the surface, wait for prey to be within reach, then lunge forward in a sweeping motion. They launch themselves at their prey, grab it, then chomp down with their mega-sharp teeth to impale them. Most creatures don't really stand a chance against the alligator gar. Number 8. Box jellyfish. There are over 50 species of box jellyfish that we currently know about, with all of them getting their name from the cube shaping of their bodies. But what you may not know is that, as peaceful as these jellyfish look, several species have stings so painful and potent that one sting can kill you. Newspapers have long described them as being one of the deadliest creatures in the sea and one of the most venomous creatures, and it's probably not an understatement when you learn how many people they've killed. Since the very first reported death in 1883, Australia has seen 79 deaths by the sea wasp box jellyfish. Most deaths have been children, which is thought to relate to their smaller body mass. The latest death in Australia was a 17-year-old boy in 2021 who was stung while swimming at a beach in Cape York and died 10 days later. Deaths have also been attributed to the eerie box jellyfish, which is about the size of a thumbnail. People stung by these jellyfish tend to experience physical and psychological symptoms called eerie syndrome. Fortunately, most people survive these stings. In the Philippines, up to 40 people die yearly from stings by Chironex box jellyfish, but limited access to antivenom and medical care may contribute to these high numbers. Number 7. Kangaroo. Kangaroo, also known by its more terrifying name of vampire fish or toothpick fish, is as bad as it sounds. It's a parasitic freshwater catfish that can grow up to 16 inches long, is native to the Amazon basin, and has a highly unusual history that's been the subject of debate for many, many years. Most people have heard of this fish for one reason and one reason alone: its apparent ability to invade and parasitize human urethras. The first documented case of kangaroo removal from a human urethra was in 1997, but there had already been reports of it happening years earlier. The first report of such an attack was from a German biologist in 1829. However, he had never actually observed it happening, and instead was told about it by locals who relied on protective coverings for their genitals while in the water. Another account was found in 1891, with naturalist Paul Lecointe describing a situation where a kangaroo entered a woman's vaginal canal. Whether these historical accounts are accurate or not, and whether this fish truly can make its way up your bits, would you really want to enter a kangaroo-infested river and find out? Number 6. Flower urchin. While not technically a fish, a flower urchin is a highly dangerous sea creature that you still don't want to have the unfortunate experience of touching. They are found in the Indo-West Pacific and can deliver hugely painful stings if you come into contact with them. They live in seagrass beds, coral reefs, and sandy and rocky environments at depths of up to 295 feet or 90 meters. The problem is not only that they're found in many easily accessible areas, but they look really nondescript. They have a pinky white to yellowy white coloring, short spines, and a rigid shell. They really don't look any different from most other harmless urchins you see, which means they can be quite hard to avoid. If you touch them, you can experience an incredible amount of pain. Japanese marine biologist Tsutomu Fujiwara accidentally envenomated himself in 1930, and he described his experience. He said as soon as around 8 pedicellari attached to the middle finger of his right hand, he felt severe pain. He said it felt like the toxin was moving rapidly from the blood vessel from the area he had been stung all the way towards his heart. Tsutomu started feeling faint, giddiness, and then found it hard to breathe. He then described experiencing lip, tongue, and eye paralysis, followed by muscle relaxation and trouble speaking and controlling his facial expressions. He felt like he was going to die, but the pain started to fade after around 15 minutes and was gone in an hour. Facial paralysis remained for about 6 hours. Number 5. Stargazer fish. Stargazer fish are definitely one of the most likely fish to appear in your nightmares. They have eyes on the tops of their heads, large mouths with large heads that face upward, and worm-shaped lures in their mouths that they can wiggle to get their prey's attention. These unusual-looking fish also ambush prey by burying themselves in the sand to leap upward, hence all the weird-looking upward-facing features. There are about 51 species within the stargazer family, all of which are marine and found in deep and shallow saltwater. Aside from their unusual looks, these fish are also known for their venom. They have 2 massive venomous spines above their pectoral fins, and 2 species can also produce electric shocks. This is because they have electric organs made up of modified eye muscles. You would think that with venomous spines and electric organs to poison and shock you, we'd simply say, "Nope, not an edible fish," and leave it alone. But we just can't help ourselves. In some cultures, they are a delicacy, and it's not unusual to see them in fish markets with their electric organs removed. Maybe it's just revenge for them basically being the meanest things in creation, which is how ichthyologist Dr. William Leo Smith described them. Number 4. Stingray. Most experts say that stingrays are docile, but you're probably raising your eyebrows at that because world-famous crocodile hunter Steve Irwin had a fatal encounter with one in 2006 when he was pierced in the heart by the barb of a stingray. Then, 6 weeks later, an 81-year-old man was lucky to be alive when he was stabbed in the chest after one jumped into his fishing boat in Florida. So, you'd be forgiven for thinking that they aren't docile. The one reportedly involved in Steve Irwin's death was an Australian bull ray that weighed around 220 pounds. They're one of the largest ray species and can grow up to 4 feet wide and 8 feet long. All stingrays have the same attack mechanism, which involves their tail. Bull rays have an 8-inch sting near the base of their tail with a spine featuring serrated edges. The base of the spine also has a venom gland with a sheath covering the sting mechanism. When they attack, they only have control over their tail rather than the sting mechanism. Generally, the sting enters a person's body, and the pressure of that movement makes the sheath tear. This frees the spine's serrated edges and allows venom to enter the wound. The venom isn't normally fatal, but clearly, an attack can be. Number 3. Flamboyant cuttlefish. Flamboyant cuttlefish would have to be one of the most exciting-looking cuttlefish species around. They have broad, blade-like arms, for rows of suckers, and dark brown coloring with some black, white, yellow, and even bright red coloration. They are definitely a beautiful yet unusual critter to stumble across in the ocean. They're found in Indonesia through to Papua New Guinea and even across northern Australia into the East Indian Ocean. Flamboyant cuttlefish grow up to 3.1 inches or 8 centimeters long and dine on crustaceans and small fish. Their size may make you think they're not a threat, but they can be. A toxicology study determined that their muscle tissue was incredibly poisonous. So much so that after research was performed by Mark Norman with the Museum Victoria in Queensland, Australia, it was found that they are just as lethal as blue-ringed octopuses, which, as we know, aren't exactly innocent. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for those of us who may worry about being poisoned, flamboyant cuttlefish don't live long. They spend their days over and near the bottom of the ocean and will generally die by the time they are 2 years old. Number 2. Striped surgeonfish. Most people put trust in surgeons to look after them when they go under the knife, but if there's one surgeon you wouldn't trust, it's one that's a fish and just pretends to be a surgeon. The striped surgeonfish, also called Dr. Fish, is a tropical reef fish that can cause deep cuts with its many blade-like spines near its tail. Surprisingly, these blades are retractable, so it's almost like this fish really knows what it's doing. There are around 79 known species of surgeonfish, and they live in tropical and subtropical waters of the Red Sea, Caribbean, Atlantic, and Indo-Pacific Ocean. Fortunately, they're not very attacky. They'll mostly just avoid divers and will even move away if you approach them. In saying that, they are not afraid to get their knives out. Literally, striped surgeonfish can cause painful and deep cuts that bleed profusely. They don't have venom or toxins, but some people feel muscle aches and nausea after being cut. Treatment options for a knife cut from the psychopath include direct pressure to stop bleeding, cleaning the cut, and soaking it in hot water. Scrubbing it to remove foreign material is also important. In most situations, stitches are reserved for large cuts, but you may be prescribed antibiotics. Number 1. Blue-ringed octopus. Blue-ringed octopuses are 4 venomous octopus species that live in coral reefs and tide pools in the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean from Japan to Australia. They are easily identifiable even by those who aren't marine life experts due to their yellow skin with blue and black rings. These change color when the octopuses feel threatened. Despite their small size, they are considered one of the deadliest marine animals in the world. Their venom is not injected through a traditional bite, but rather delivered through tiny salivary glands when they latch onto their prey or attacker. Interestingly, the blue rings that give them their name are not always visible and only appear as a warning when the octopus feels provoked or in danger. They are masters of camouflage, blending seamlessly into their surroundings, which makes them even more dangerous to unsuspecting swimmers or divers. Blue-ringed octopuses are also known for their unique hunting technique, where they use their venom to paralyze prey before consuming it. Unlike many other venomous creatures, they don't produce their own tetrodotoxin. Instead, it is created by symbiotic bacteria living within their bodies. This toxin is so potent that there is currently no known antidote, making encounters with these creatures particularly risky. Blue-ringed octopuses dine on crabs, crustaceans, and shrimps, and they are pretty docile. They also grow up to around 8 inches long. But if you think they're actually harmless, you'd be wrong. They are incredibly dangerous to us because they contain a venom with tetrodotoxin, which is a potent neurotoxin. A single blue-ringed octopus carries enough venom to kill up to 26 adult humans in just minutes. As their bites are often small and painless, not everyone who's bitten by one may know it until they experience paralysis and respiratory depression. Often, those who are bitten experience nausea, respiratory arrest, heart failure, and total paralysis. Without treatment, you can die in minutes from suffocation. Generally, first aid treatment consists of pressure on the wound and artificial respiration if diaphragm paralysis occurs. Most deaths are related to paralysis, which means that if respiratory support is available, your chances of survival may be much higher. I'll be honest with you, if I ever had even the slightest urge to take a dip in the ocean or a river, that feeling is long gone. I mean, with fish that target your urethra and others that can strip flesh from your body, these are definitely not the kind of creatures I'd want to share the water with. They're the stuff of nightmares. Which of these creatures shocked you the most? Have you ever encountered any of them in real life? Also, don't forget to check out more of our awesome content popping up on screen right now. See you next time.